estate and financial services. Today we have Kevin Murphy from NatWest joining us, and we're going to be talking about all things climate change related. Kevin, great to have you on KammaKast this week, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, delighted to be here.
Fantastic. So why don't we jump right in there? So climate change has become a really topical issue for the built environment, and really I feel like it's come under increasing focus over the last number of years, where we've got a lot of new regulations going into consultation, going through the House of Commons at the moment, aimed at improving energy efficiency, for example. And I think that, coupled with some of the other kind of macroeconomic themes that we're seeing with rising fuel prices as a result of the war in Ukraine and kind of energy becoming an issue of national security, has really made this an extremely hot topic across a number of markets and industries at the moment. Can you talk to us a little bit about NatWest, and how is NatWest grappling with the challenge of net zero, and how does your role support that strategy?
Yeah, fantastic, Orla. Thank you. And I think you're spot on. The recent events globally and indeed purely within the UK have shone a light on the climate change challenge that we have in front of us. And probably none more so than the last few days in the heat wave. And I think that has again sharpened people's focus. We're fortunate in NatWest to have a CEO in Alison Rose, who over 2 years ago set climate change out as one of our key pillars of our purpose. And at that time, Alison called it out as being one of the most complex challenges facing society today. And she wasn't wrong then. And based on, as you've just described, some of the challenges and the global events of the last months have made it even more complex, but at the same time brought it to the top of the agenda. We have, as NatWest, broken it down into segments. We're a large bank going across investment, commercial, and retail. So we've segmented our approach, and particularly my role focuses on how we support the heat and buildings of the UK. And we are one of the largest mortgage lenders in the UK. And we have a responsibility, an obligation, and a desire to support our customers improving the energy efficiency of their home. There's about 27 million homes in the UK. 20 million of those are in need of some form of retrofit to bring them up to a high energy efficiency home. And NatWest have an opportunity, and as I mentioned, a responsibility to support our customers and hopefully many more customers right across the UK to improve the energy efficiency of their home, cut their costs, and indeed cut their emissions at the same time.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you talk about it as an opportunity as well, because I think that's there's kind of a carrot and stick approach that's needed across all of this, and that sometimes laws do need to be brought in to stimulate the right kind of behaviour, but also if we particularly where the private sector is concerned, if it can be looked at as a big opportunity, which I think, as we've seen kind of ESG investment and everything attract premiums and things like that it is being increasingly seen as a massive opportunity that businesses and investors want to be part of. So really great to hear that. What do you think the biggest challenges that you face, particularly in your role and kind of around buildings and heat, as you described it?
Yeah, fab. And I think there is an opportunity, and there's an opportunity to invest in one's home, if you like. Now, that's not to say that people don't see it as a cost at the moment, and I'm certainly not walking past the fact that there is a major cost, but there is an opportunity to look at it as an investment and as an asset creation, and it's an investment in one of the largest purchases that anyone will make throughout their lives. So we do see it as something that is NatWest. You might ask, why does NatWest care about energy? Well, we care because we care about our customers, and our customers have a major investment with us, and we want to help them protect that investment. The challenges that we face in doing that are pretty much, so first and foremost, it's awareness. And while we talk about climate being a high agenda item, actually making customers aware of their EPC, for example, or what opportunities they have to improve their energy performance certificate, or the opportunities they have to reduce their energy costs. So it's an awareness element first and foremost, and we run a Green Homes Attitude Tracker that we're tracking consumer sentiment over time, and we're starting to figure out ways of communicating to our customers much more about their energy costs, their climate emissions. But it's a challenge to ensure that people understand that and are aware. The second thing, once they are aware, is costs. So there's significant costs associated, and unfortunately high costs at the moment with relatively low returns on investment, or at least they have been up until now. That's slightly changing. So with energy costs going up, that clearly means that if you invest to reduce those costs, then the return on investment will reduce. Technology's coming down slightly in terms of costs, and will continue to do so as more and more develop and it scales. So there are costs associated that are prohibitive for many. You know, there's some who are able to pay, have money. There's some who are able to repay, i.e. take out a loan and repay that. But there's some who aren't able to pay, and that's where we also need to be mindful of that group of customers who are in a vulnerable situation where we need to support them, and we do some of that through our social housing support as well. So awareness, costs, government policy is probably the other key element that we need to address. You know, we've engaged with a number of ministers. Alison Rose met with Rishi Sunak not so long ago, and we are positioning the government to understand and connect the government to some of the challenges we see with our customers in order to influence that policy, lobby the government, and change policy, which quite frankly could be and should be reflective of some other countries in the EU, where we see a major drive to move away from fossil fuels and into more renewables. And that can only happen with incentives for customers, which can also be driven by government policy.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of more certainty around those policies wouldn't go astray, and I think it would help institutions like yourselves as well just kind of set some firm strategies in place. An interesting thing I came across yesterday was, which I think also feeds into kind of the carrot approach and kind of incentivizing the right behaviour, was a study from Scottish Power that said they believe that valuation, you can see a valuation uplift in your property of up to 10k. And when you consider that the average cost of a retrofit across the UK is between £9,000 and £10,000, that's quite a, you know, if this study is representative enough, it did seem to be quite in depth, but I haven't looked at it in enough detail. But I think that's if we can prove these things over time, and it will take time, I think that's also really positive, because you've got an instant kind of payback if your strategy as a homeowner is to actually sell on the house as well. So I think a lot of really positive things happening as a result of some of the early steps that have been taken.
I think absolutely right, and NatWest have contributed to that report, Better Homes, Cooler Planet, I think was entirely agree. I think we've also, NatWest have ran a internal view of, does making your home go from B to A improve the value of your home? And at a macro level, our findings are yes. Money Supermarket have ran a similar report nationwide. There's various other of big lenders that have run the report, and all things are pointing to you're improving the value of your home. Again, it's back to this, it's an investment, it's an asset creation, and that's before any regulation or any changes to taxes, etc., that may happen in the future based on driving towards that renewable energy.
Yeah, because it's all about changing behaviour as well. And I think also once we've been through a couple of winters where with these increased fuel costs, people are going to start naturally associating energy efficiency with the value of their home as well, if they are purchasing a new home. So I think we'll probably even see even bigger uplifts in the future for those properties that have invested in making them more energy efficient as well, which can only be positive. And kind of on that note, so that there are kind of some of the opportunities from that lens that we can see. What other opportunities do you see for the private sector in kind of driving towards net zero within your kind of space?
Yeah. So I think you've made a brilliant point there in terms of behaviour change of the customer. So we need to help change the behaviour of the customer. We're relying on millions of individual decisions across the UK. We can't instruct people what to do in their homes or how to insulate their homes, but we can encourage and educate and help people to change behaviour. So I think that's very important, and that's an opportunity for us all. I think we also need to recognise that humans are lazy, and so we have to make it easy. And our customer research has shown that. And things such or tools such as smart thermostats and smart devices will help us reduce the energy usage and therefore the energy cost, and therefore cut emissions. But in a very easy way. We all use our mobile phones way too often. But if we can have the cockpit of our smart thermostat sat in our mobile, I know from a personal experience that you can change the way you operate. I think we have to describe the benefits to customers so that we can drive that change. And we have to describe it in a pocket and planet type fashion as well. So it's not just about climate change, it's about how do you help you reduce the outgoings from your pocket. And we have to personalise that as well. It can't be generic. It has to be something that's meaningful to me as an individual of a homeowner. So I think those are opportunities. And I think as those behaviour changes take foot, then the private sector, alongside government policy, has a great opportunity to lend to our customers to invest in their properties, and to reduce risk, to improve affordability. So if you reduce your energy costs in time, that should improve your rating for affordability. So it's a virtuous circle, which I think it's the real challenge is describing that and ensuring people understand the again opportunity.
Yeah, it sounds like education forms a big part of this strategy, kind of really helping people get to grips with, as you see, even just the small changes that they can make, and actually what the difference that can make, and then kind of what that means to their lives over time, kind of the more that they can do. Is that it kind of, yeah, as you touched on, is this the kind of level that you're engaging with customers on to help this resonate with them?
Yeah, I think so. It's often difficult to connect with customers from a proactive perspective because of marketing permissions. Now, that's not particularly positive or sexy, but the truth is, unless customers enroll in marketing permissions, it's very difficult for companies to engage. However, as cost of living crisis is deepening, as energy costs become one of the, if not the biggest single cost to a customer other than perhaps their mortgage, but even in some cases more than their mortgage, then we are looking at ways to help those customers. And one of the ways that we are trying to do that is through data. And when I say data, what I mean by that is we know the energy performance certificate of our customers at an individual level. And we know the types of homes they're living in because obviously they have taken a mortgage out with us. So with that data, we're able to help educate customers. And what we're working on now is to deliver a digital EPC to our customers, who will therefore be able to understand what energy performance certificate rating they have in their home, and more importantly, then figure out, well, what's next in terms of how do I improve that. So we're absolutely engaging with customers at that level. We have a retrofit pilot underway with 10 customers, where we are funding 10 customers' homes to retrofit, so that we understand, appreciate, and deliver those proof points that we ran a report last year, Homes Where the Heat Is. We're lifting that off the page into people's homes and actually demonstrating what that feels like to a customer to retrofit their home, albeit NatWest and the Sustainable Homes and Building Coalition are funding that. So it's difficult to change the behaviour of millions of customers, but we have to do it in a systematic way, and we have to do it in terms of describing why should I and what is the benefits for me as a customer.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic actually as a strategy. If we kind of look more specifically at buy-to-let landlords and this new minimum energy efficiency standard that's been proposed, that essentially by the end of 2028 all rentals will have to be an EPCC in order to be rented out. What kind of reaction have you as NatWest, as an organisation, experienced from landlord customers in relation to this?
Yeah, so I think the industry has seen an explosion of green mortgages. So NatWest was the first bank to launch a green mortgage 2 years ago, first major bank to launch a green mortgage a couple of years ago. And then we launched green remortgage, and then I think November of last year we launched our green buy-to-let mortgage, and that has been successful. And when I say a green mortgage, what it means is it's a reward mortgage that if you live or buy a A or a B rated home, you avail of a discounted rate. But your point around what is the reaction to the landlords? Honestly, we haven't seen a huge differential in terms of the percentage of landlord homes versus our owner-occupied homes. We also, and this is something that NatWest are working on, where we're looking at a green additional borrowing product, which will help support customers and landlords move from a lower efficiency home to a higher efficiency home. So we haven't seen a huge change in that just yet, but I think that is coming as the regulation becomes closer and more financial products are available and more awareness is generated. So nothing material at this moment to report, but I think that is certainly coming in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I think some confirmation on the actual date on that would also, I think, again help, because if we think about it, 64% of all rental properties in the UK are currently below an EPCC. 2028 is not that far away, and it's quite a lot of retrofit work that needs to get done, and it's the right thing to do, but we just need someone in government to kind of confirm what that date is going to be, so people can start getting literally their houses in order.
Spot on. And it's interesting you see, because I think it's spot on, even in our retrofit program. So not necessarily from a landlord perspective, but from a upgrading a home perspective, what we found is that the skills and the installers, the tradesperson people, are not necessarily available or willing to deal in smaller type activities or smaller jobs. So what we're seeing is, UK wide, we saw a contraction of people available for jobs, unemployment lowering. And so what we found through our retrofit program is it's very difficult even just to get those tradesmen. And I think going forward, to your point, the landlord community will have a hard stop And what we don't want to do is sleepwalk into that and then find out that every landlord is trying to engage the same tradespeople to do the work in a specific time. And that's difficult because, again, people have to understand the timeline and understand as you say, is that a firm timeline? What happens after it? Describe the benefits or indeed the challenges if I don't do it.
Exactly. And you see, actually, if I'm Irish, obviously, so I tune into Irish radio quite regularly. Reminds me of home. And Ireland has, I say Ireland have suddenly kind of been much more proactive with respect to this whole energy efficiency initiative. There they call it a BRE certificate, but it's essentially the same thing as an EPC certificate. And they're actually actively advertising for apprentice positions, traineeships, to meet this demand for retrofit now. And I think these are the type of, it's a big problem to solve. There's a lot of different things to think about, but even starting there with realizing that that demand is going to come, and and we already know there isn't enough retrofitters out there, but if we could see some initiatives like this, that at least there is attempts being made to, at least partially meet that demand as it happens, would be a good signal from the government. But hopefully we'll see some things around that very soon as well.
Absolutely. And I think it was in the Sunday Times maybe a month or so ago, Octopus CEO was talking about training 1,000 engineers to install heat pumps, and they have a several thousand waiting list for heat pumps, whether it's through capability to deploy or indeed ability to source the actual parts themselves. But I was with the Climate Change Committee this morning, the Government Climate Change Committee this morning, and there is a recognition that skills and labour needs to be addressed. Supply chain fulfilment needs to be addressed.
Oh, well, good to hear that the recognition is there anyway, and hopefully we'll see some decisions soon. Just kind of moving on from that, you talked about data as being really important in kind of helping to strategize and getting us to the place that we need to be. Quality of data is obviously kind of one of the most important factors of that. How are you currently using data in NatWest? How do you kind of use it to kind of engage your customers and I guess innovate?
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. And so data is absolutely key. And the reason I say that is we recognize that we have to personalize the communication and the story to allow customers to understand the benefits of why they should take action. I personally had an energy performance certificate ran for my home, but the plan that came out of it previously was very generic, and it turned me off at the outset. So we absolutely recognise that there needs to be a good quality of data, and working, and we engage with yourselves and other partners where we need to ensure that we are capturing personalised data and utilising it in a way that is helping our customers take the right action and educating them, and also not being creepy. So it's something that we see as the gateway to personalisation is understanding that data. And unfortunately, we have data as customers take a mortgage with us to buy a home, so we understand the home as such, and we can therefore help that customer along with perhaps some of the energy data. And we're working on that to create smart homes in the future, to understand a bit more about how we can help customers, not just from an energy performance certificate, which talks about the fabric of the home, but also about the occupancy behaviour, which talks about how customers use their home and use the energy within their home.
Yeah, absolutely. All that resonates a lot with me, because as a business that is positioned in the climate data space, we look at EPC data and we use it as a really nice baseline, but it has so many shortcomings. It's based on methodologies from 12 years ago when our national grid was really dirty, full of fossil fuels. The UK is now the leader in renewable energy, and 70 to 80% of the national grid is actually renewable, and lots of things that it doesn't take into account, and is perhaps in a lot of ways very broad brush, and particularly when you do need to have this personalized approach to really resonate with customers. So yeah, that really makes a lot of sense to me, and that's we kind of fill in those gaps by overlaying other data sources to actually make it much more relevant and much more personal to the actual beneficiary or user of the information. So yeah, definitely data is power, as we say. But yeah, just really to wrap up, I read a little bit about the Sustainable Homes and Buildings Coalition that NatWest is part of. Absolutely fantastic initiative. Can you tell us a little bit more about this, Kevin? Who's involved, and should this reduce the impact of changes in the kind of political landscape as well, because this kind of fantastic coalition of organisations has come together?
Yeah. Terrific, thank you, Orla. Yeah, so we're really proud of what we've done in the Sustainable Homes and Building Coalition. We launched it last year, last summer, and we have launched it with Worcester Bosch, with British Gas, and with Shelter, and Citizens Advice also sit on the panel. And what we've done is we identified a gap where there were a number of bodies or roundtables or industry coalitions, but there was no cross-sector coalition. And what we identified is that this has to be end-to-end for the customer, and it has to be from a consumer lens. It's not just about finance, it's not just about energy, it's not just about the supply fulfillment. So hence the reason why Worcester Bosch, British Gas, Shelter, and Citizens Advice Bureau very much providing a lens of customers in vulnerable situations and social housing, making sure that we have a balance in that coalition. So really proud that we were able to get such terrific companies as part of the coalition. We then kicked off a process where we ran a report last year to combine all of our experiences and our strategy and plans, which was called Home is Where the Heat Is. And we launched that with Lord Callanan last year, and we have since ran a number of roundtables at House of Lords with Andy Burnham. Next month, actually, we're with Andy Street. So we're utilising our power of the platform, the coalition, as well as the power of our experiences across the sector to lobby the government and deliver credibility and proof points to ensure that we influence policy going forward. And one of the key elements of that is the retrofit programme that I mentioned earlier, where the coalition are funding that across each of our organisations. And what that's really going to do is lift that report off the page, and it's going to show genuine, real customers, real experiences. That's going to culminate in video diaries and a chronicalisation of those journeys, which we are going to publish and launch on the 19th of October at the Houses of Parliament, where we are going to engage with a number of the mayors and a number of the MPs and Lords to further our desire to help our customers improve the efficiency of their home through, in that particular lens, ensuring the customer is heard and that the government can act.
Fantastic. That's really exciting. Great to see kind of powerful initiatives like that coming together. Kevin, it's been an absolute pleasure. I could talk about this stuff all day, but I know we both have jobs to get back to. Has left me very excited, and I'll definitely be watching the NatWest space eagerly. Some very inspirational stuff going on, very inspirational leadership with a very green agenda there. So I like to see things like that. It's the kind of thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. So thanks so much for sharing everything, for piquing our interest, and look forward to hearing and watching what happens in this space.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, Orla. Thank you.
Thank you.